Hampshire could be one of the biggest battlegrounds of 2024 with Democrats, especially in very liberal New England, adding new energy to their fight to turn the swing state into a solid blue foothold.
Yeah, that's right. New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu joins us now. Governor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So New Hampshire is very interesting politically because Democrats appear to have a lock on it in federal elections. Joe Biden won in 2020, but it has a Republican governor, House and Senate. So how the heck does that happen, and what does that mean for 2024?
Well, a couple things. As you'll see there, Trump barely lost here in 2016. So this state really is always a toss-up state. Our entire House, our Senate, the governor, all run by Republicans. Federal delegation currently is all Democrat right now, but that kind of defines us as purple. We are a toss-up state. We're kind of that shining gem up in the Northeast that's keeping some sensibility, individual liberty, and the live free or die spirit going. So, which is why you can tell Brian I'm smiling all the day. If you were the governor of the live free or die state, trust me, you'd be smiling too.
Yeah, and New Hampshire is very beautiful, especially in the fall.
Yeah, I lived there for 4 years, and the last time I was up there, Governor, as a student, that primary season led to the election, which was the last time a Republican won in New Hampshire. That was George Bush against Al Gore, and that ultimately won the election for George Bush. Do you see those federal races impacting down-ballot races like governor, where you got a lot of people trying to replace you next year?
Yeah, I see more the presidential race could potentially affect our congressional district 1, which should be a Republican district, the governorship. Whoever sits at top of the ballot, I'm actually more concerned how it affects things going all the way down. And we're not just talking about the governorship and congressional seats. We're talking about, I don't want to lose school board seats. I don't want to lose local elections because of who's on top of the ticket, which is why, look, it's not personal. I think a lot of folks know I'm moving on, as a lot of folks are from former President Trump, because there's too many other good candidates. There's too many other good options that don't hurt the ticket down ballot. So I'm very concerned about that. I know a lot of other states are as well. But again, there's still a lot of opportunity there to make sure you're getting good candidates, quality candidates that stand on their own, do the retail politics, engage with people one-on-one on the street, look them in the eye, ask the right questions, answer the right questions. Retail politics really does lead to good retail management. It's something that we believe very strongly in here. It's why we have such high voter turnout. So many people participate in our process, and why the candidates really have to hit the ground here.
Well, on the Democratic side of the aisle, you have President Biden and the DNC, and they're trying to make big changes to the primary calendar. They're trying to strip New Hampshire of its first-in-the-nation primary spot and give it to South Carolina. And now we're hearing Joe Biden might not be on the ballot. A lot of people don't know how this works. So what's going to happen here?
Well, yeah, Joe Biden has completely screwed this up for himself and for the Democrats. We're going first, no matter what. New Hampshire, first in the nation primary, is going to happen first. Biden tried to just give some basically political payback to his buddies in South Carolina, a state that has, frankly, one of the lower voter turnouts in the country. Then you have the Iowa Democrats that are trying to screw it up, maybe even turn their process into a primary. I'm sorry, guys. Either way, New Hampshire's primary is going to be first. That's why the Republican candidates are here. That's why you even have, Robert Kennedy here pounding the pavement on the Democrat side of things. So, once again, Joe Biden's follies have led to a big problem for the Democrat Party. Not for New Hampshire, but for the Democrat Party. Is Joe Biden's name going to
be on the ballot, though?
Heck if I know. Yeah. Heck if I care. I mean, really, he's completely turned his back on the state. Everybody realizes it. Yet another reason why come the general election, New Hampshire will very much be in play. People realize it's just insulting. Yeah. I mean, it really is. The president has insulted the Democrats of this state. And so I think a lot of folks realize, we're an independent-minded state, tend to be a little more Republican, and that's why there could be a very strong possibility this state goes Republican in November.
Mark the tape. He predicted New Hampshire would be first. I need a quick answer on this. You mentioned RFK Jr. He is a New Englander. New Hampshire is Massachusetts' backyard. It is their playground in many respects. Could potentially RFK Jr. win the New Hampshire primary if Joe Biden's not on the ballot? Quick answer, sir.
Absolutely. I saw him at an event with over 1,500 people at Scott Brown's backyard barbecue. The place was packed. There's a lot of excitement around him on the Democrat side. Biden's ignoring it, and it could be his downfall.
Wow, that would be quite the turn of events there, and something that a lot of Democrats would not be seeing coming. But we'll see if it happens. Governor Sununu, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Still smiling.
Still smiling.
As Brian predicted.
Thanks, Gov.
Have a great day.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.